I finally got around to checking out the brand new Final Destination movie, aka Final Destination 6, aka Final Destination Bloodlines. This is the return to form for a franchise that we have not had a new entry from for, I believe, over like 10 years, maybe like 12 years. It's been a while. This is a franchise I really loved growing up because as a child, I was a little bit of a weird guy who liked movies like Final Destination and Saw. I liked watching people die, everybody. Yeah. It's okay, I turned out well and not like a serial killer, as far as you all know. Right? But if you haven't seen any of the Final Destination movies, essentially what these movies are is they always start with a character having a premonition of death. They see some kind of massive mass casualty event unfold, and they see a lot of people die, and then they come back to the present, and they avoid that event from happening. They save a bunch of people's lives, and they cheat death. And because death is such a son of a bitch, he ends up coming back for blood. So all of the characters who had survived that premonition end up dying these really miraculous creative deaths one by one. And when I say creative, I mean very creative. It is the MO of this franchise that the creativeness of the deaths is kind of what sells the movie. These ridiculous situations these characters get themselves into that eventually lead to a very gruesome death. That is what these movies are, and sometimes they also have a story in them that is sometimes interesting and sometimes not very interesting. The story in Bloodlines and the new take on the franchise is that this is telling the story of a family. So the person that had the premonition about all of these deaths had these premonitions a very, very long time before the start of the story when she was a young woman, and she ended up saving a bunch of people's lives. Then she ended up having a bunch of children, and her children had children, now she has grandkids, and now death has finally caught up to them, and one by one death is coming to take them out. They should not exist because she should have died at the start of the movie, but because she didn't, death is here, and he is going through the family. And there's a lot about this movie that I really liked. This is certainly the best reviewed Final Destination movie I've seen out there. My expectations for it were a little bit higher, just because I believe it's sitting at like a 90% of Rotten Tomatoes. People are really loving this thing, and I found it to be pretty good. I mean, not great. It's not like significantly better than all the other ones in the franchise. Granted, it's been a while since I've seen them, but this is a solid horror movie, or I guess a gore fest movie. If those are your types of things, you're going to get a lot of it here. It has some fun, intricate characters. It does have its emotional beats. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it also does not stick around too long. Because of all that, it is a solid movie, but yet again, it's also one that I'm probably going to forget within like a week. Especially because this is like the second Final Destination movie we've gotten this year, and you might be wondering, what? We had another one? Yeah! The Monkey. We already forgot about The Monkey, right? Yeah, it was another very forgettable film. One that I actually thought was a little bit better than this, but regardless. So in this movie, we follow this cast of characters that I found to be much more interesting than a lot of the other casts that we usually get in these films. Particularly a few characters I really enjoyed. The main lead that we get is whatever. She's just kind of your boring main final girl that you're used to in these types of films. It's all of the side characters and the really goofy characters that I like the uncle, who's very loud and over the top, and Eric, who is probably my favorite character in any Final Destination movie ever. He's a guy that just does not take any of this shit seriously. He's over the top. I'm like 90% sure the character was written for Kieran Culkin, and Kieran Culkin took one look at that script and said, it's my Kieran Culkin impression. But he's a lot of fun, and the dynamic between him and his siblings in particular I found to be really, really fun. And yet again, this movie doesn't take itself super seriously, which I like. There's a lot of points where they're talking about the actual concept that they're experiencing and the things that are going on, and they are saying the things that the audience would be saying. Like, this is kind of stupid, don't you think? And they're like, yeah, it is kind of stupid, but we don't want to die, so we're just going to have to live with it. And because of that, the movie doesn't feel overly dramatic, and there are some really good laughs throughout mixed in with the kills, which are also extremely creative. I don't want to say the best kills in the franchise are the most memorable ones, but there are a few in here that made me cringe a little bit and go, ugh, yeah, you know, and when you can get that out of me, because I've seen a lot of these types of gross-ass horror gore porns, that's a good thing. There's one in particular that involves like a wheelchair that I won't spoil, but ugh. The movie does have some CGI problems at times. The CGI is just a little bit too much and goofy, which I think might have actually been a choice. I love the music in this film. This film has a kick-ass soundtrack. The music is used super well, and when it does pop up, like, it is probably the best use of music in any of these Final Destination films. Tony Todd also pops up. Rest in peace, Tony Todd. He has been a staple in a lot of these movies, playing what we all thought was death, and he is death, or is he not death, whatever. We kind of get more context of what he actually is in this film, and he does pop up, and his scene was beautiful, and it really felt like a wonderful scene to have for him after he did pass away last year as like this final sort of role. I don't know if this is his final role, but if it is, he does have the most emotional beat in this entire film, which I really appreciated. It hit me right in the gut. which is a good thing. Yeah, overall, I don't have too much to complain about this movie, just that it's not spectacular in any way. It doesn't do anything so memorable that I'm going to be talking about this movie 6 months from now. It's just a good Final Destination movie. If they wanted to relaunch this franchise and play it a little bit safe, introduce something a little new to the franchise with this family dynamic, but still hit all of the beats from the previous movies that made those movies successful, then this movie did that. It succeeded. It reviewed very well. I believe it's making a good amount of money, so this movie is a massive success, and if you're a fan of these types of movies, or any of the other Final Destinations, or like gore porn type stuff, you're probably going to have a good time with this. But if you're looking for like the next innovative horror film that is really going to push this franchise into becoming something really insane and high cinema, and if you see that 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and you think that's what this is, you're not going to get that. It's just a gore porn, fun, slasher horror film, whatever you want to call it. So because of that, I'm going to give Final Destination Bloodlines a 3 out of 5. It's a good movie. I recommend going to check it out if you think this is your type of thing. Yet again, it's nothing spectacular. It's not like last year when Smile 2 came out, and I thought that movie was really spectacular, elevating a genre and a franchise that shouldn't be spectacular, but it did something really special with it. This is not the same thing. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more turn notifications. I'll see you in the next one.